Okay, so now that we have our document set up and it's called project1.ai, notice that there's a star next to AI. If you can see here at the top, there's a little star. Every time you see that star, let's call it asterisk. Every time you see the asterisk, it means that the file hasn't been saved, which means that you've done something and you haven't saved yet. And basically, the changes I made were changing the document size from a letter to a 10 by 10 inch document size. So let me go ahead and save that. So I'm going to hit Command S. And when I do, you will notice that the star disappears, which means the project has been saved. Now you can also notice at the bottom here it says first project, and that's actually the name of the artboard that we assigned when we entered the document setup mode and we chose a name for our artboard. We called it project 1. Now, if you remember when I first started with these tutorials, actually the first one, I mentioned how we can create multiple artboards. So let's go ahead and cover that. If I hit Command N right now, so Command N like for new, and this time I want to create a document with several artboards. So here it says number of artboards, it says 1. Let me change that to, for example, 4 artboards. It also allows me to specify how I want these artboards laid out. So the first one is, left, right, and then down, across, and so forth. The second one is up, down, right, and then down. The third one is just horizontally next to one another. The fourth one is vertically next to one another, and so forth. So what I want to choose is this option, which is having 4 artboards horizontally next to one another. I also want them to be 11 inches by 8.5, which is the standard letter size, and I'll change that to portrait, and then I will hit OK. So these are, obviously you see that my document now is not made up of one artboard anymore, but it's made up of 4 artboards because that's what I specified at the beginning. The good thing about artboards is, let's say you're working on a logo, for example, and you want to make variations of that logo, and you want to see all that in front of you, and instead of having the changes saved on different files, instead of having 4 physical files, you can have the changes right here. So if I show you an example real quick, so for example, don't worry about how to do this yet, I'm just showing you what I mean. Let's say I have this circle right here, and I will use my initials MZ, and then place the initials in front of this circle. So let's pretend this is my logo, okay? One trick which is very, very useful with artboards is that if I want this logo repeated at the same place on all 4 artboards, there's a great tool and a way to doing that. So first of all, let me position it right here in the center of my artboard, and I want it repeated at the same exact place on all other 3 artboards. So I can go to edit, copy, and then edit, paste on all artboards. And that's how you will find the logo pasted on the exact same location on all artboards, instead of doing it manually, which doesn't ever guarantee that your logo will be positioned at the same place. So remember the edit, paste on all artboards option. Now, we were mentioning why artboards are so useful. So I have these 4 options in front of me, and let's say I want variations of the color. So I can click on this second artboard, the circle of the second artboard, and perhaps I want to use the yellow color, so I will change that. On the third artboard, perhaps I will change the color of my logo to, let's say, this dark pink, and then I will change the fourth one to turquoise blue or light blue, or I'm trying to get the turquoise from here. So there you go. So this way I have these 4 options in front of me, and I can maybe make comparisons, choose what I want, delete what I don't want, and so forth. So this is an example of how artboards can be helpful and useful. I can also change the names of these artboards. When you look at the bottom, you can see the first one is called Artboard 1, the second one is called Artboard 2, but we can change that, as I showed you, by going into Document Setup. So let's go ahead and do that. If I click on Document Setup and then hit on Edit Artboards, that's again where I can make my changes. As we said earlier, you can change the size manually, but for this exercise, I just want to change the name of each of my artboards. So if I just click on the first one, it allows me to change the name. So let's say I call it logo green. That's it. And then I click on the second one, call it logo light green. The third one I can call logo fuchsia. And the last one, logo turquoise. Okay, and that's it. And then I hit escape. And whenever I'm on, let's say on the first artboard, let me click on it, you can see a small highlight of selection. You see that the border becomes darker, so it means I'm on that first artboard. And it says right at the bottom here, it says logo green, logo light green, logo fuchsia, and then logo turquoise. And another thing I wanted to show you is how to zoom in and out. So if you hit Command 0, it's going to basically show you the entire document fit in your window. But it's going to show you, the one that's in the center, which is in this case the light green. You can zoom out by doing Command minus, zoom in by doing Command plus. And again, if you hit Command 0, it's going to show you the exact, the full artboard, you see, without anything being cut from the top or the bottom within your window. And so that's the end of this tutorial. We'll see more in the next ones.